Rita had asked for this audience with the warden, as her father's tools were losing their power. Arlo offered use of his father's whetstone, but she said the power came from the god's blessing. She needed to take them to the shrine in the rift. The rift was a dangerous place, and he had little desire to return. Neither did Rita, but he would not see her go alone. The merfolk believe the 8 arms bring balance to life and death. Or so Rita explained as they approached the shrine. Arlo's little head disliked such weighty thoughts. He thought about lunch instead. At the shrine, Rita realized she had forgotten the ritual. She needed a druid's help, or it would all be for nothing. She pointed to the old ruins. Could Arlo find the druid who lived there? A trail of herbs seemed to be leading him to the druid. Arlo wondered what magics they made. Druid's coat of needles can see off most attacks, but these frogs seemed to feel no pain. Thanking Arlo, the druid agreed to help with the ritual. But it could not be done without a special plant from the ruined tower. Throwing Arlo their tower key, they made for the shrine. There was no sign of this powerful plant at the tower. All Arlo found was an open hatch. Perhaps its power let it grow in the dark. What Arlo found was a mole. His father had told him of these creatures who lived in sprawling underground villages, but this one was alone. Perhaps he'd seen the druid's plant. To his surprise, the mole said he grew it for tea and would be happy to share. However, nothing was ever simple. It was behind a bunker door and the fuse had blown. If Arlo found a new fuse, he could have all the tea he wanted. Arlo had no idea what kind of door problem could not be solved with an axe, but he remembered an object in the smith's stash that might be what the mole was looking for. It was confusing to Arlo how such a small object could open such large doors. He would have to remember to return to ask one day. The mole squeaked happily as he slotted the fuse into a strange contraption. Arlo gasped as the room buzzed, bringing light without any flame. Nearby came the sound of metal doors scraping open. With the plant in paw, he promised to return one day for the offered cup of tea, a use for the plant which Arlo resolved not to tell the druid. druid already knew the tea recipe and directed Arlo to drop the plant in the cauldron, smacking their lips in excitement. Arlo wondered if his troubles had been for a magic herb or tasty drink. Arlo had hoped for a well-earned nap during the ritual, but it seems even the dead do not rest during rituals in the rift. Arlo had to keep them from the druid. Ritual over, the dead rested once more. Rita thanked the druid, and Arlo suggested they return with them. They refused. They were headed home to try their plant in a brownie recipe. Short Tongue had reports of a strange creature in the rift, one that disappears in front of their eyes. It was a stealth claw, he was sure of it. They should go back to where they fought the last one and look for clues. No stealth claw, but an attack nonetheless. A band of warrior frogs harassing the village blacksmith. Their eyes lit up at the sight of Short Tongue. Only they called him by a name which we need not repeat here. Short Tongue and Arlo returned the insult, and with more than words. The blacksmith was glad to head to Bogmire in safety. All should have been silent in the blacksmith's wake, but Arlo was suddenly aware of a squelching of mud around them. The stealth claw was here. They had won this round, but they could not leave it at that. Frog and Rat agreed to hunt the stealth claw to its lair. Short Tongue was worried. A group of frogs had been seen in the rift. They must be lost and would no doubt be in need of rescue. From afar, the villagers seemed lifeless, lost in battle or to the cold. But up close, the truth was revealed. They were training dummies. It was a trap. The assassin was vicious, but Frog and Rat held their ground. Injured, the attacker fled, but Short Tongue was not about to let him escape. The pair found him licking his wounds at a makeshift camp. The assassin seemed to forget his pain as he took up his weapon. With the assassin defeated, Arlo breathed a squeak of relief. But Short Tongue was not done. He needed to know who had sent them. The frog's frantic search through the assassin's belongings gave up the answer. A gold coin bearing the mark of Glubba the Gut. Short Tongue asked Arlo to meet him at Bogmire. He had work to do. The assassin's gold coin pointed the pair toward one path. There was no choice but to confront the warlord, Glubba the Gut. warlord sat surrounded by enslaved frogs and laughed at the pair's demands for their freedom. He had a surprise for his guests. The stench of the dungeon hit them as hard as its floor, a floor that started to shake, and from the shadows emerged the largest toad core that Arlo had ever seen. And frog slayed the beast, its bloated corpse sinking slowly into the mud. Arlo felt a pang of regret. It had been a slave as much as the others. They found the warlord's soldiers celebrating the pair's defeat. Rat and Frog were happy to correct them. Seeing the last of his soldiers fall, Glubba croaked his rage. He was the greatest warlord of all frog kind, and they would regret this day. Glubba's tyranny had ended. Short Tongue offered the frogs a home at Bogmire Forge. Together, he and Arlo had freed the Rift, as well as the frogs. Perhaps this would be an era of peace for both.